Welcome back. It is the Progress Report with your host here, Dion Sage. And I am so excited to be back right now. To be honest with you, it's been a very long sabbatical, very long few months, not being able to sit here and talk to you guys things about community and love and all that stuff. But every once in a while, you got to get your stuff together. So I want to thank everybody for all the inboxes and messages and also the conversations that I've had over these past couple of months. Has been very heartfelt and very encouraging. A lot has gone on, and I just want to bring your attention to the one person that I am just totally sick and tired of in Congress. And, we get rid of Lord Voldemort, and then next thing you know, here comes this thing. I don't know where she grew from, what gremlin birthed her, I don't know. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, can you please do us all a favor and shut the big trap that you call in the middle of your face? A mouth, can you just shut it for 2 seconds? How are you going and chasing Congress people and letting your aides chase Congress people and talk trash to Congress people and think that's okay? What happened to professionalism? What happened to decorum? I guess that's completely out the window. It's the one time that I want AOC to just reach deep down in her New York roots and just literally sock her one. I mean, is it a crime if a congressperson, fights another congressperson? Is that a crime? I don't know. I hope it's not. But anyway, with that said, we have a wonderful show for you today. I am so happy to have, of course, my good friend, my bestie, Taylor Neptune here tonight. And then also, I am excited because I get to meet someone brand new and get to know them. I already love her already. And that is MAJENTA with a J. And of course, I'm going to save this one because I kind of have a secret crush. I've had a secret crush on this one for years. I've been, trying to save myself for marriage with her, but, she won't have me. She said that I'm too light-skinned, and I was like, oh, no, she did not say that. She did not say that. I will not say that she said that. But my good friend, Feather, I'm getting flipped off, guys, in the background. This is wonderful. But my good friend, long-term friend, I love her dearly. Former Rhode Island title holder, Miss Gay Rhode Island, the one, the only, Complete Destruction is here. But we're going to get everybody in on a panel right away because I know that MAJENTA with J has somewhere that she has to be later tonight. So instead of us doing all our normal shenanigans, we're just going to be a little flexible today, if that's okay. Everybody likes a good flexible person. Good, So, with that said, Chris, can we bring on in the panel?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, is everyone here? I'm sure everyone can hear us. But how's everyone doing tonight?
Excellent. How about yourself?
Okay. All right. So, first off, I've seen Taylor so much. A lot. It's seriously, we had brunch the other day, just seeing all through COVID.
Oh, no. And it wasn't even
I just want to say to Complete Destruction live on air, anytime that you want to put me in your dungeon, you can, Adam.
You're such a sweetie. Never change. Never.
I'm trying to change, but then I wouldn't be me if I did it. But I think it's about consistency. In my old age, I think it's about consistency now. So.
I will not allow you to say old age. That's not a thing.
Not a thing? Okay. In my
You're old
seasoned
and I'm old, so I won't allow it.
In my seasoned life, it's about consistency.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay. So, first, let me just say, I know we're going to get into what both of you have done during this COVID time and the changes with drag and all that stuff. But I just want to know, is there a skill that you learned and you didn't know you had during COVID? I'm going to ask that question.
Oh, who goes first?
I'll let you take this away.
Okay. Well, I think, like many in the drag community, I did not know that I could edit and create music videos by myself. So that has been a really fun but challenging lesson during COVID. And also, I'd never produced a show before, so I learned I can produce a show. So I pushed myself in the things that I could.
So Magenta today, you are out of Boston, 45 minutes north. And you are a drag artist, music producer. You won the first Boston Drag Gauntlet.
Yes, I did.
Right. So let me ask you this question. This is kind of a question like, what have you noticed? What have you noticed in the difference in like having to, not being out there each and every day with the crowd and then having to be behind the stage? What, like, obviously there's a huge difference. The crowd's not there. I know as being a former performer, when the crowd's there, sometimes the crowd gives you more energy. What has been, I would say more rephrase it, what's been the biggest struggle for that?
The biggest struggle is it's very fun when you're actually like the show is happening, like the digital show, because there's the chat and a sense of like that's as close as we've gotten to being like at the club together. But when you have to like come up with and film and get in drag and spend your whole day without seeing another human to do all of that, maybe you have like a friend help like film or something, but it's really difficult to be motivated to like get all dressed up and spend hours on makeup and then like not leave your basement. Like for me, what I loved about Magenta was that I got to like go out and be someone else. And like for me, my favorite part wasn't even the performing, it was the like before and after where I was talking to people and getting to like, interact with my community. So that's been the toughest part for me.
That is a big part of it, being somewhat of a performer myself, I would say, and especially, having such a short amount of time on stage, I had grew very quickly to learn that the best part of it was interacting with everyone before and after. I really have learned to appreciate the chats with, the shows the Eagle Girls put on and with the Full Spin show that you put on Magenta. I have really enjoyed like gossiping and chatting like with the people in the chats. It almost feels like wrong to do so, but I do it.
It's as close as we've gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah. Complete. Kind of the same question. What is like what's been the for the transition having to do going from being around people to?
So funny enough, not really funny. It's not fun. Nothing's funny. Talking to people's funny. I don't know how to do that anymore.
So true.
Yeah, so like video production was actually kind of a big part of my senior thesis in college. I did a lot of performance art that worked with video and projection work and sound design. So like I sort of had a little bit of a footing in how to do these things, but adapting it to like drag ideas was a little bit of a jump, and learning what could be accomplished and what you can sort of fake. Like the first few videos that I did were very much like me sitting in front of a green screen, like just finding cool background elements to throw in behind me. But then I got a bigger green screen so I could fit my entire body, so I could start like pretending that I was in other settings, and exploring like scene design as opposed to just the performance part. And I mean, obviously I don't do it for every single video because one can only have so much energy inside their body for such things. But the chats are the most exciting part of this, because I know that I, personally speaking, like every single Thursday, like it took up until like 2 months ago for me to not feel like I was having a panic attack waiting for like 7:30 to hit for me to hit go live. Like yes. I would be white knuckling the chair that I would be sitting in. Like
me and chugging, we know very much about that.
Describe me every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I literally close my eyes. I close my eyes for that 60-second like pause, and I'm like, okay, you got to go live. You got to do it, and I think that is the tough part. Magenta, you said people, and I'm like, people. I mean, I didn't mind talking to some of them. Some of them was like, run away from me right now. But I will say this. I will say this. I was actually happy to actually get out this past weekend. Taylor and myself, we got to watch a complete perform at the Imperial Court event this past week.
Speaking of green screen, oh
yeah. Speaking of green screen,
Oh my god,
it was
everything.
everything.
I noticed, watching the drag shows and like Taylor had said, the comments, being in the comments and talking with people in the comments and commenting that way has been fun. But missing yelling out, "Yes, girl, work it, get it," or going up there and giving tips and things like that. I mean, it brought back a whole different feeling that we missed.
Yeah.
So I have another question. When the COVID shutdowns occurred, what were your immediate concerns, and how long into it did you try to start planning alternative ways to deliver your art to the community? We're going to start with Complete on this one.
Okay. Well, drag is my only job, so the shutdown happened literally. It might have been like 2 days before the next show that I was going to be in, and I kind of left my body for a little bit because I was like, oh, great, the job that I need because it's my job and also the thing that I love to do is on a hold for who the fuck knows how long. And like, I wouldn't say that I'm a pessimist. I don't like the term realist, but I was like, this is not going to be a month or 2 months or 3 months. This is going to be a long fucking time. And it sort of threw us, me and my other co-hosts, it sort of threw us into how can we keep the show going? And Bitch Puddin from Dragula, I would say, kind of brought Twitch into the eye of drag performers and hosts and show runners. And because at first we were like, well, we could try Facebook Live, but Facebook Live flags every single piece of like copyrighted music in the history of the world. So like we when we first started, I would have a playlist like playing music in the background while we were waiting for the show to start. And within the first like 2 songs, the stream on Facebook would go down. So like I would have to pin like, if this goes down, go to Twitch, watch us on Twitch. It just immediately I've never been an online content sort of creator. I've never enjoyed having to consistently post on Facebook or Instagram so that people can see my work. That's obviously, it's been a huge part of drag for several years now, but I've never been good at it. And it was a scary thing to have to jump into, to say that all of this is just going online and most of it's not going to be able to live online, except through like paywall content. Like, so it was just really, it was terrifying.
Yeah. Most of it was new for all of us too, so I get that terrifying feeling. It was just kind of like going into something like, all right, I hope this works. If not, I'm fucked. Or that's literally what we were all doing. But for a career like drag, especially like you said, when it's your only thing, it's very unnerving. And I'm surprised to hear you say that you don't prefer to do that, because I think you do really well at it, and you are apparently behind the scenes on a lot of things with the Ego Girl performances too. And you had a digital background from school and everything, so I'm surprised to see that even someone like you still had the same issues that we all had.
I mean, it's adapting to a different media, like the live performance aspect, being around people and feel like, as we've been saying, like briefly, feeling the energy from the crowd makes such a profound difference. And yes, like we get to do things in digital performance that you couldn't necessarily always do in a nightclub or even a theater venue. Like I've worked in theater venues quite a few times now, and just being able to create, like, to just fill the screen with what you want to fill it with it's a beautiful thing, but it's different. It hits different.
And you have done so many really amazing video production. I call them productions because they have been A1. And I have a question for you and Magenta as well. Which would you prefer if you had to choose to continue doing virtual performances and digital shows or doing only in person? Which would you prefer?
I don't want to choose though, because now that I know that it's a thing, I want to do both. I'd prefer in person, like more often. What?
I just said I think there's a way to do both. I think there's a way to do both.
Well, that's the right answer. That is the perfect answer. We want to see both, but I wondered if you had a preference. Either of you. Magenta, do you have a preference?
I think you're on mute, Magenta.
Sorry. I created like 30 videos in like 6 months. So I felt really energized initially, but then I kind of felt like I did 10 years worth of content in a really fast period. Yeah. So I still think that there's a lot of, I'm excited to know what I can do that I didn't know that I could do before. And I'd like to do more digital videos. I think I just would like to do them more when I'm inspired to do them, as opposed to being the only thing that I can do.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see, like, I hope most venues invest in like some audio visual equipment so that we have all of this video content now that we can use as part of our performances. And I want to be able to share that and incorporate that. So
that's actually a really good idea. Wow.
Yeah.
We've done it a couple times at Ego. We have I wouldn't say it's very advanced, but we have a projector and a projector screen on the stage, and that was a very cool thing. I've seen venues that have like full LED walls behind the stage, like, and even oh wow, brain. Before the pandemic, I was seeing people like on stages. One of my friends from Colorado did a duet with themselves.
Oh.
And I was like, that is fucking awesome. And I wish that we could do more stuff like that. I think it took us 3 years to get a connector from the projector to the DJ booth. So like, we had to plan those shows like 2 weeks in advance, because I would have to show up to the club early with a USB, with every performer that was doing it, with all their videos on it, and climb up a ladder, plug it into the projector, set up the projector, turn it off, and like wait. And then go on stage and look at the screen and select whatever video was going to start playing next and hit play. And then the last one we did, it was actually, the DJ could just hit play and it was like
yeah. Oh gosh. So, I am not going to any of that.
Magenta, as a part of producing the Full Spin, you did impressive work with hunting down sponsors to make sure that the girls get paid, and choosing charities to donate a portion of the tips during the show. Have you kept track of the total amount of funds that you have had? And you don't have to tell me how much, but have you obviously kept track? And could you just tell us a little bit more about that work and what you're doing with Full Spin?
Sure. So the first couple shows we did, I think, like the concept was, doing an album end to end, but I didn't have the like sponsorship or donation model. And then our third show was June of last year. And that was after the George Floyd protests and all of that. And I was very aware of like, how can I use this show to do something good? So that show, we did Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. And I wanted to, first of all, make sure that everybody got paid. And I also wanted to raise as much money as possible for Black Lives Matter. So Hollow Eve, who was on Dragula, suggested online the idea of like asking local businesses to sponsor a show. So I got enough sponsors to pay a full cast. I got like close to $1,000 from them. And then during the show raised a bunch more. I ended up getting corporate matches. So that one show yielded over $8,000 for Black Lives Matter. Never got near that again, but over the course of 24 shows, we've brought in, I think, around $37,000 or $38,000, which about 40% of that has gone to nonprofits and the rest has gone to the performers. And I guarantee everybody at least $50. Sometimes it's as much as 100 or more, because one other thing is, like, a lot of these shows, people come away with like $4. Like, so I really, it's so much work. I wanted to ensure that everybody was earning something.
You know, and this is for both of you, because I mean, I know myself. You know, I never really performed on a big on a Friday, Saturday night, but I've always done fundraisers and things like that. And I understand, you know, the importance of tipping for that fundraiser. But on a Friday, Saturday night, how or just doing a Sunday show or whatever, how important is tipping in your art?
Amazingly important. I mean, a lot of shows don't have a very high pay rate, and so tipping is the addition to that and makes it more worthwhile in person. Anyway, digitally, it is obviously the most important thing. Because like Magenta said, there are shows where like you spend 10 hours making a video. You spend 10 hours in your scary basement with a bunch of makeup, flailing around in front of no one, and shove it in the computer and cut it all up and make it really beautiful. And then you promote the show for 2 weeks, and you have like 20 people watch it, and every person makes $4 because you have a tip pool, and it really changes your perspective on what you think your art is worth.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I've tried to do is find as many alternative funding methods as possible. So in addition, we kind of switched from trying to get sponsors from local businesses to I use Patreon now. So I have about 30, I think it's 37 supporters right now, but I set the tiers pretty high. So we get about $700 a month just from that before any shows. So that helps to guarantee the performers. But then tipping during the show is the majority of what people earn. And it feels, I'm sure you're sick of this like constantly begging people to send money. Like it's a lot, it's like draining. It's just draining.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it should be. I've heard people actually say, "Oh well, I'm not gonna tip because they're getting paid already for the gig." So I'm glad to hear you both actually point that out. That most of the time the tipping makes the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
It could be 3/4 of what you make in a live thing, depending on what you're doing. It could be 3/4 of what you make. It could be half of what you make.
There's also tip spots, which I think drag performers should stop doing altogether, where you literally don't get anything except tips. Like, we should all say no to those.
I think that, so this my crazy perspective, like just tip shows, and open stage shows like that, I think they're important for trying out ideas, for exploring new venues, but there should be more opportunities to be booked and paid for more people.
I think that if it's completely open and anyone can do it, then I can understand it. But if I've been booked and not paid. Like, if you're going to ask somebody to be there and tell them they have to perform and you're not paying them anything, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
This is we're gonna push pin here. I want to come back to this, so we have to go to commercial. But this is really good, and I want us to think about this during the break, because I've heard this argument as well. If, for example, for a fundraiser, if you ask me to perform at a fundraiser, I should get paid for the fundraiser. So I want to push pin there, and when we come back from commercial, I want to pick right back up there if that's okay. So everybody go ahead, freshen up your drinks. I know I am. Get your popcorn ready. We're coming back. Be right back, guys.
For the next episode of the Now Serving Digital Drag Competition, we're having a throwback comeback. We've asked our contestants to pick their favorite music icon from the 70s, 80s, or 90s and give us a throwback performance. We've also invited back all of our departed contestants for a chance to re-enter the competition, with guest judges Tenderoni and Mystique Summers, and your permanent judges Throb Zombie, Lucy Stool, and Crimson Kitty, with your hosts, Magenta with a J and Violencia. So join us for Now Serving on Tuesday, May 18th at 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/The Serve Network.
Pride Month is almost here. Join us June 4th at 5 p.m. at Biltmore Park in Providence, Rhode Island, as the Progress Channel hosts a celebration of community rally and Pride flag-raising ceremony. emceed by our very own Dion Sage, speakers will include Mayor Alorza, State Senator Tiara Mack, BLM RIPAC Executive Director Harrison Tuttle, activist Jaden Vieira, Taylor Neptune, and performances by Elijah Dickinson and much more.
Hello, everyone, and we're back. I hope you didn't go too far. I'm here with my good friend Taylor Neptune, as well as Complete Destruction and Magenta with the J. We are here talking about drag today, and right before commercial, we started talking about basically paying and tipping and pay shows and versus tipping shows. And the question I asked to the panel was, during a fundraiser, and I'm big. I only really perform during fundraisers, and for me personally, I don't mind not getting paid for a fundraiser because as long as for me, I know the money is going to a good charitable organization. So I've heard the argument from a lot of queens that even for fundraisers, you still should get paid something for a fundraiser. How do people on the panel feel about that as far as fundraising? Now, I have no argument about if you're asked to do a show, a show where a for-profit show for a nightclub, yes, get paid hands down. But fundraiser,
it is somewhat of a gray area. I wonder how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
I have a strong opinion that you should pay the performers because they can certainly give it back if they want to just donate it to whatever you're raising funds for. But I think that there's sort of an unintentional, you're denying the stage to people who literally can't afford to work for free. So there's people that like the time it takes to prep an outfit, come up with a number, perform on stage, like that's literally their income, and to spare the time for that, I think it's respectful to still ask them, to still offer them pay for that. I know that that's not always feasible, but I formed that perspective when I did that show for Janet Jackson, that we were raising funds for Black Lives Matter, and we had an all-black cast, and I was like, I don't feel like I can ask all of these people to perform to raise money to go to a cause that's supposed to support them without them getting paid. It felt very strange to me to do that. So, so that's my take. I feel like you should offer pay whenever possible.
So I'm going to be in a sort of opposition to that. I mean, not really,
Okay.
not entirely. It's a tough question because personally speaking, my opinion on this, just about me, about what I feel about this is that most of the time that I'm not just working at like the same 3 places where I usually work at were fundraiser shows that I would do. And fundraising is one of the only reasons why I still like keep trying to have drag as my job. I feel like without fundraising, it sort of loses its relation to the community in a way. It does feel a little weird personally speaking, for me, it feels more self-indulgent if I'm not using it to give money back. And I can't usually go to a fundraiser show and give money because obviously working artist, not making a lot.
Yeah.
To minimize it as much as I possibly can. So I feel glad to be able to do what I can do to further raise money for the causes that are happening. Because I can't always donate myself, so I donate myself.
Huh. That's very interesting to hear. Almost two different opinions. And with my fashion business, with Neptune Incorporated, I've actually I've been in that situation once or twice, throwing an event or a charity event, and I'm having a creative take photos or a local creative come and, paint something or whatever they do. Being in that situation where I'm like, oh goodness, I feel like I need to pay you for this. And I've had 2 different reactions to that. I've had the no, we'll make connections later, and this will be worth it. Give it back to the cause, give it back to your business. I know you're starting up. And I've had, situations where people, before they even show up, hey, this is my rate. And, either one is fine with me. But it's very interesting to hear the 2 different standpoints there.
So, Majenta, you was about to say something.
Well, I think you don't have to, I would say just offering or not anticipating that it will be free makes a big difference. Like if you are super upfront, you're planning a fundraiser show and you tell publicly everybody like, hey, we don't have any funds to pay people, but we're looking for some performers. We're really, there's no pool of money somewhere we can pull from otherwise. That to me is a little bit different than something where, maybe it's a larger organization that's doing a bigger fundraiser show that has some budget behind it. In that case, I really think you should be going to the performers and anybody else working on the show and saying, hey, here's what we can offer. If you want it, you are also welcome to give back. Like personally, I am in a good financial situation, so I can do a performance and not need to get paid for it. But I think about some of the people that have been asked to do things for free where I'm like, that's kind of like shady to me sometimes.
That's okay. So I feel that I can understand that point of view. My perspective on that was that most of the shows around here come with the expectation that there are no options to be paid because all of the money is going to organizations that it's for, and no one gets paid. And
yeah.
And sitting and listening to that, for example, if CVS was doing a fundraiser for a charity, or Ronald McDonald House doing a fundraiser for a charity, they wanted a bunch of drag queens to perform. Yes, definitely, because they're a large organization, large charitable organization. They're going to raise thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to millions of dollars. So yes, definitely pay. But if it's if it's a organization that just started up and I think yes, at least offer, like you said, even if it's $50, say, hey, this is all I can give you. All we can pay for your performance is $50. At least $50. If they're old enough and they drink, that get them a drink at the club, a couple few drinks at the club, or that's $50 in their pocket where they can save it to add to their drag collection. But like Magenta said, Magenta with a J said, I think there should be an offer. I think you convinced me, Magenta. I like being convinced.
Like
but with that said, I know, Magenta, you have to go, so I want to give you. A chance to give your final thoughts, and also please tell the people what you're doing tonight and ways that we can watch, if that's possible.
Sure. So, yeah, the reason I have to leave a little bit before 9 is at 9 o'clock, we have the show Now Serving on twitch.tv/The Serve Network. It's a show I co-host with Violencia exclamation point, and it is a digital drag competition. This will be our 4th episode. So we have a cast of 10 people, and it's sort of like Drag Race style of, if there's a winner and then somebody lip syncs and goes home and that kind of stuff, but doing it all in a digital format. So would love people to come and watch that if they can at 9 o'clock. It's every other Tuesday. And then I'll plug my other show while I'm doing that. The other Tuesdays, when we're not doing Now Serving, I host Full Spin. So the next one's May 20th. And those are visual albums of nonstop drag. And the next 2 shows, May 25th and June 8th, are both Lady Gaga. We are doing a replay of our Chromatica show, and then an all-new ARTPOP show on June 8th. And Complete is in both of them.
So I was gonna say, so you better have Complete in there.
Yes.
She had me back, and I love her for it.
Oh yes, you were literally the first person I asked. So.
Question, Magenta, before you go, you just mentioned Full Spin and the show that you're doing tonight on the Serve Network. You've done a lot of themed shows. Where most recently I remember the Whitney Houston, and I definitely remember the Gaga one. Were any of those your favorite? Is that why we're bringing back Gaga? Was that one of the most watched?
So the Gaga, the Chromatica one was for a long time the most watched. We have had 2 since then go above that. But it's also the 1-year anniversary of Chromatica. So it came out at the end of May last year. So I know, right? Time has really flown by. And I knew I wanted to do ARTPOP, so I was like, well, let's do them back to back. But I gotta say, recently we did Kate Bush's Hounds of Love in April, and that was one of my favorites. That was, I was so thrilled that many people were into it, because it's like a 35-year-old album. But all of the performers just brought their A game to it, and it was so good. It's like, I'm watching all these videos and editing them a lot. So I'm fully exposed to the show, but that's a show where afterwards I was like, I'm going to watch this again.
Been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Magenta, quick word for the people, final thought for the people to carry on for the rest of the night from you.
Well, if anybody's watching and is a fan of drag, one thing I would encourage you to do is to make sure you are supporting your local artists. There was an article recently, I think in Gay Times, where they talked about digital drag, and they only really focused on RuPaul stars. And it was very frustrating because digital drag is something that has really come up from people who weren't on that show. Bitch Puddin', as Complete mentioned, and then lots of folks like Complete, myself, Violencia, hosting shows. And that's where, all these people who become stars on Drag Race, they were local performers before that. And I think any art form needs to be supported at the ground level, not just after something is already huge. So I think when people take the time to dig in and learn a little bit more about things, they should definitely be supporting those people. So that's my thought on that, is support artists who need it, not just the ones who are famous.
Amen. I hear that.
Magenta with a J, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to sitting with me and Taylor and Complete. We definitely have to do this again. And as everything opens up, hopefully I'll see you in Boston at some point. Good luck tonight with the show, and good luck with everything that you're doing. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back, guys, with myself and Complete. I'm sorry, Complete. Wow.
I don't know who I am either, so like, don't worry.
Oh boy.
Oh, thank you.
Love you, Magenta.
Love you.
I just love you all.
Love you. Thank you. We'll be back.
For the next 2 full spins, we're having a Lady Gaga stravaganza featuring shows devoted to Chromatica and ARTPOP. We're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Chromatica with a special replay edition hosted by Magenta with a J and featuring Violencia, Miss Toto, Complete Destruction, FKA Twink, Kirby Fully Loaded, Travis T, Kaya Cristal, Secret Queen, Honey Trap, Missy Steak, Georgia Flu, Mike Hawk, Cat Wilderness, and Enigma. We'll also be donating 10% of tips to support trans resistance. So join us for Chromatica on Tuesday, May 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to join us for the second half of our Lady Gaga stravaganza with an all-new edition of Full Spin devoted to ARTPOP, featuring an incredible cast and sponsored by the Harvard LGBTQ at GSAS Association and the GSAS Student Center Fellows. So mark your calendars for May 25th and June 8th and join us at twitch.tv/magenta with a J.
No Filter Thoughts versus Prayers this Friday, May 21st, twitch.tv/The Serb Network, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Hosted by Violencia, Raquel Surprise, and Mike Hawk. With special guests Scarlet Letters, Arabella Ladesi, Chick-fil-A, Severity Stone, and with special guests from RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under, Anita Wiglet. I'll see you in the Twitch chat this Friday!
And we're back. We're so back.
We are back.
I want to thank Magenta with the J for coming and just having the chat with us. And I want to thank also Complete, who is here. And so I'm just going to go back down memory lane. I meant to send Chris the picture, but I got right after I got the phone with Chris, I got a little busy here. I will never forget the first night that we met at Ego. I don't know if you remember that night.
I can't wait to hear about it.
So the first night that we met, it was I was reigning as Mr. Gay Rhode Island, and you were performing. I think it was like right around your birthday, sometime around there. You were performing. You had these spandex pants on that were kind of like fire or the meat or like the inside of the human anatomy kind of type.
Yeah. Skin.
And,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of skinned. So you had pants on over that at first, and then you took those off, and then somebody had picked you up and swung you around and hit your head. That was the first night.
That was my actual birthday show.
Do you remember that night?
The reason why I didn't realize that was the first time we had met was because I'm so angry.
Right.
Still. Because that person wasn't supposed to pick me up and spin me around. That person wasn't supposed to be on stage.
Drag is not a contact sport.
No.
What?
I will never forget. And you promised, what happened was you had promised me prior to you performing that I could get a picture, and you still kept your word, and I had taken a picture. But then after that, we ended up making up our pictures plenty of times, several times, because over that year, I got to know you. You actually performed for my Step Down, which was wonderful, and many other things. But Complete, at this point, you are in Rhode Island a legend in the game.
Legendary.
You've done fundraisers, you have encouraged young people, but you haven't given any birth yet.
I'm sorry, I'm more barren than the driest of the Canaanite.
I was like, Anna, ooh.
She
Okay,
said,
well, you might not have any kids
there's
yet.
no little
but-
destructions like running around yet here, you know?
Oh.
Um,
I
are
don't know
there
if you're
any
ready
children
for
in
that,
the
actually.
making? Are there any like children in the making?
I would say that I'm more of a drag aunt than a drag mom.
Nice.
I feel irresponsible as a normal human being, so why would you ever want me to be responsible for someone's possible career?
Well, one thing I wanted to ask, you might not have any kids yet or ever, from what I'm getting, but you do have your ego sisters and you do have your drag sisters. And over the course of COVID, that frontier has slightly changed a little. And we've been keeping up with you digitally, of course, and we had Young Onyx join the team, which we love, we stan. Also another really good creative who has taken to, the video thing pretty well, if you ask me. But what is the Ego Girl frontier looking like moving forward?
Well, so my dumb siblings and I were waiting with bated breath for our home to open again. We've been receiving small updates here and there. It is happening eventually soon.
Oh.
We will be back. We will be. I'm trying to think of like how far I can go into this without like breaching employer.
I'm just saying because I thought I was about to get an exclusive right now.
I know. I was like, ooh, okay, lean in.
I'm gonna set myself up.
Well,
like complete destruction, running for governor. I don't know what's going on. Is this an exclusive right now?
I don't think that I have anything on my record that could prevent me from running for governor. Going forward, we're going to be live shows. We're still going to be doing the digital shows once in a while. If anything, it's just going to be me doing them, probably, because not to say that the others aren't involved, but I end up putting them together anyway. So like everything comes to my computer. So I feel like it would be just easier on everyone else because they're already moving back to their day jobs, and then add live drag back on top of that. Kira Stone is started. During the show this week, there will be a poster for something that Kira Stone is going to be starting with the Ego family, but not on Thursdays with us any longer. Yeah, but she's still very much an Ego sister, very much an Ego gal pal, very much an Ego girl. She is still part of the fam. She's still going to be with us whenever she can. I don't know if she's been living in P-Town, working in P-Town for the past time. I don't know time. We broke up. But she's been there for a while, and she will be there for a little while longer. But she has some cool plans in the works out of Ego with us, and
hey, I'm
spoiling anything, but there's going to be another Ego girl. Ooh, another one.
Oh
no, everyone! I just want you to know it's not me. I'm not going to be very clear. I am not the next Ego girl. You do not want to see this in drag.
Oh goodness!
I would want to. I want to see you in drag.
Huh?
I want to see you in drag.
Okay, I will be in drag as soon as you become a drag mother.
Oh,
wait, no! I just remembered something. You asked me a long time ago if I could put you in drag.
And now it comes full circle. Now I get it. That's why he asked if you were a mother yet.
I see you needling.
But yes, this has been a lot. I have to say, this has been a lot of fun. To be honest with you, and I hope I'm hoping to have another show like this. Our producer said, please welcome partial destruction. No, I would probably be total destruction, to be honest with you, because I come in.
Already one of us. Sorry.
There is?
Yeah.
Yep. So
I'll just
sorry.
keep Dion sage. I'll keep Dion sage. I'll keep Dion sage. That's it.
That's all.
It's a good name.
Right. So we're wrapping. Actually, no, we got a couple more minutes. My bad. I'm looking at the time. I thought we were like running out of time here, and I finally look at the time. But so complete. Let me ask you one more question. Somebody's trying to call me while I'm talking. Let me ask you one more question. The community here in Rhode Island is kind of divided. There's uncertainty of what's happening with Pride. There is back and forth. Even within our community, we are having some racial divides and racial struggles. What could you offer, being a former title holder, someone who's been doing drag for a long time? What words of advice could you offer to our community during this time?
I think that what most people need to do in general, and this is a usual thing, is that we need to get off our own bullshit. We need to think about what fucking matters, how everyone is a person and has feelings and also has gone through an entirely different experience than each of us individually has. And so we need to understand that we have to go out there with fucking kindness, and also understand that we have to, especially white people, have to unlearn how we work, because we're fucking it up worse. By saying, oh, it's not us, we're gay, so we can't experience anything bad. Like, we're oppressed too. Yeah, we're fucking oppressed. So what? It doesn't matter who's got the biggest. It does matter who has the longest history of oppression and wronged community, but it doesn't matter who has the biggest sob story. When you're out, you should go out with love. When you're out, you should go out with the intent of uplifting the people around you. If someone says you're wrong, you should think about it instead of getting pissed off about it. The Pride thing, I don't know much about it. Am I still here?
What?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay, my internet just said that I'm not on the internet anymore.
No,
Okay. Anyways, okay, back to that. I don't know a lot about what's going on with that, but I do know that going forward, if there is going to be Rhode Island Pride, the board has to make room for checks and balances and the ability to handle criticism about how they handle things. And that's, in general, people need to think about things before they react to things.
That's a really big one. That applies all.
Yeah.
I don't know if that might be too vague of an answer, but
no, I don't think that's too vague of an answer. I really don't think that's too vague of an answer. I think that's really good. There's a lot of uncertainty. People want Pride to come back, on its usual time, but it has to be organized correctly. Listen to the members of the community. The board should be reflective of the community, but not just that. It can't just be one big party in the city like it used to be, in my opinion. I think we still need to bring awareness to the social injustice issues that we face in our community, and the communities we touch. Period. Like I said this to somebody. The LGBTQ community is probably the only community that can touch every different race and ethnicity, because we have multiple people from all different races and ethnicities in our group. But when we have a racial divide within the LGBTQIA plus, we have a racial divide. For me, that's a problem, because if there's one thing that you should unite us, is that rejection in a way from society. That should unite us, but it shouldn't divide it. We should not be looking at, period, not just in the LGBTQ community, all across America, we should not be looking at racial differences and racial biases. But with that said, because I definitely know we have to get ready to wrap it up. So we're going to go, normally I go to commercial, but we're going to go right into final thoughts, if that's okay. So I'm going to ask Complete, if you can give us some final thoughts, tell the people what you're doing, how to connect with you, and then shoot right over to Taylor, and then I'll wrap it up.
Cool. So if you want to see more of me, you can follow me on the Facebook at Complete Destruction, spelled exactly how you would normally spell Complete Destruction. Your autocorrect can do it. If I can type my name and have autocorrect fill it in when I'm fucked up and can't type my own name, you can do it too. Instagram's a thing. I put most of the flyers for shows in my story, because Instagram doesn't like when you post flyers anymore. So you're more likely to see future events in my story. And I also post them on Facebook as posts of what's happening every week. Every third Thursday of the month, which means that this coming Thursday, in 2 days, Ego Providence's virtual hosting Thursdays happen. I am one of, currently it's just me and Onyx co-hosting. And then we have Pulp and Annie doing behind the scenes work. And we book people from all over the world and we put on a little show for you. And it's been very fun. We asked for a $10 suggested cover charge like most other shows via Venmo. We also have other tipping stuff. We display all the performers' information at the end of the show so you can follow them, so you know what they're up to. We like to curate a fun and fucked up and beautiful time. And I'm in Magenta's 2 coming shows. This, obviously not tonight, but next Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday, maybe. I think that's right. I hope that's right. And like I said, time doesn't exist anymore. We're all hurtling through space on a giant piece of rock, warped by an explosion. In general, me to you, don't be a fucking asshole. Keep trying to uplift everyone around us. Watch this show whenever it happens, because it's really cool, and I love these people that put it on. Be well. Wear a fucking mask and keep social distancing and washing your hands. It's not over. It's never going to be over.
That part. Taylor.
How do I come behind Complete Destruction after that? Well, I will try to piggyback off of what you said, because I just can't. That you just touched my little soul here. But I'm gonna say, try to approach things, like you said, with a little more compassion. Like Dion and Complete both said, unlearning behaviors is a big part of that. Really hopeful, looking forward to Pride Month, because this month is going to be like no other, because this past year has been like no other. So looking forward to, the advances we're going to make with Pride Month, and maybe even, with things being the way they are, we are able to focus a little more on history of LGBTQ community, and able to focus a little more on why the parade and why Pride in general, as opposed to focusing on the events and the things that come, the fun things later on. So, I'm looking forward to that, as well as looking forward to the healing of our community, the unlearning of old behaviors, and, just people coming to other people with a little more compassion. Looking forward to all of the above, and gonna say, like I always say on Tea with Taylor, and like I always say to my friends, make sure you're being good to yourself. And that's all for tonight.
Well, first, let me first thank Magenta with a J, who was here earlier, and also, as always, the Dark Mistress herself, Complete Destruction, as well as my good friend Taylor Neptune for joining me with Season 3, Episode 1 of the Progress Report. I am so excited to be back. And my thing is going to be about mental health, actually. As you look all across the city of Providence, there's a lot of gun violence, and we are talking a lot about gun violence legislation, but we need to start to really talking about mental health, period. At the end of the day, many shootings and many of the mass shootings, whether it's a one-on-one shooting, in my opinion, is complete mental health. For someone to believe that it's okay to take the life of someone because of the color of their skin or some beef that they have across town is a mental health issue. The government needs to open up resources to allow for people to get the treatment they need. Let's be real. Last summer, there were just as much gun violence going on in the city of Providence, just as is this as now. And we were shut down last summer. So we really need to ask the question, what is the issue? It's resources. And the biggest resource, in my opinion, living and growing up with dealing with this since the time I was before I was born. Right. It's mental health. It is mental health. Also, to my community, the LGBTQ community, make sure you support your drag artists. Make sure you support your drag artists. And support may not be, if you don't have monetary, send them an inbox and let them know that you care about them and you see them, and give them a pat on the back for what they're doing. Because one thing about our drag performers, whether they be drag queens or drag kings, they bring a sense of togetherness. They bring a sense of warmth and comfort to our community. There's been times where I've been in a bad funk and went to a drag show and watched a local drag queen perform a number that brought up my spirit. So, with all that said, support your local drag artists, and as Taylor always says, be good yourself and make sure you get your mental checked. With all that said, good night, Rhode Island.
Good night.
Mm-hmm.